It's one of my favorite things in the world. And so he may tell you more about it. But this is George, and let's hear it for George.
Right. Perfect venue.
If he can get on stage.
He can.
An old and venerable story by Dr. Seuss. Every Who down in Whoville loved Christmas a lot. But the Grinch, who lived just north of Whoville, did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now, don't ask me why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right, or maybe perhaps that his shoes were too tight. But I think that the most likely reason of all was the fact that his heart was 2 sizes too small. But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who's, staring down from his cave with this sour, grinchy frown at the warm light windows below in the town where all of the Who's, down in Whoville beneath, where they're busily hanging their mistletoe wreath. And the Grinch thought, why, tomorrow is Christmas. Why, it's practically here. Tomorrow, bright and early, all these Who girls and boys will wake, bright and rush for those toys. Oh, and then, oh, the noise. Oh, the noise. That's the one thing he hated. That noise. And then all the Who's, why, they'd sit down to a feast. And they'd feast, and they'd feast, and they'd feast. They'd feast on Who pudding and rare, Who roast beast, which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least. And then they'd do something he liked least of all. All the Who's down in Whoville, the tall and the small, where they'd stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand, and the Who's would start singing. And they'd sing, and they'd sing, and they'd sing. And the more the Grinch thought of this whole Christmas thing, the more the Grinch thought, I must stop this whole thing. Why, for 53 years I put up with this now. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got it. Oh, it was an awful idea. But the Grinch got this wonderful, awful idea, and he made a quick Santa Claus hat and a coat, and he chuckled in his throat with this hat and this coat. I look just like Saint Nick. Then all he needed was a reindeer, and the Grinch looked around. But since reindeer are scarce, there was none to be found. But did that stop the Grinch? The Grinch simply said, if I can't find a reindeer, I'll make one instead. So he called his dog Max, and he took some red thread and tied this big horn to the top of his head, and then loaded some bags and some empty old sacks onto a ramshackle sleigh, and he hitched up old Max. And the Grinch said, giddy up, and the sleigh started down toward the town where the news lay to snoozing. Well, it was a quarter of dawn. Quiet snow filled the air. As he came to the first little house on the square, this is stop number 1, the old Grinchy Claus hissed, as he climbed to the roof, empty bags in his fist. And then he started down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but Santa could do it, and so could the Grinch. And he got stuck on it once for a moment or two, and then stuck his head out of the fireplace flue, where these tiny Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings, he snarled, are the first things to go. And then he slithered and slunk throughout that room with a smile, most unpleasant, as he took every one of the tiny Who's presents. Then he slunk to the icebox, and he took the Who feast. He took the Who pudding. He took the roast beast. He cleaned out that icebox as quick as a flash, and the Grinch even took their last can of Who hash. Then he loaded his bags one by one, very nimbly, and stuffed all the big bags one by one up the chimney. And then the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to shove when he heard a small sound, like the coo of a dove. And he turned around fast. There was Cindy Lou Who, tiny Lou Who, who was not more than 2, and the Grinch had been caught by this tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water. And when seeing the Grinch, Santa Claus, why are you stealing our Christmas tree? Why? You know, that old Grinch was so sly and so slick that he thought up a lie. And he thought it up quick. Oh, my sweet little Tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it back to my workshop, my dear. Well, I'll fix it up there and then bring it back here. And the fib fooled the child, and he patted her head and got her a cup and sent her to bed. When Cindy Lou Who was in bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. And the last thing he took, the log for the fire. As he went up the chimney himself, the liar, and the one speck of food that he left in that house, it was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. And then he did the same thing to the other whose houses, leaving crumbs much too small for the other whose mouses. And he loaded it all onto his sleigh and started up the side of Mount Crumpet, 10,000 feet up to the tip-top to dump it. And when he got to the top, the Grinch thought, why soon all those Who girls and boys, they'll wake and rush for their toys, but there'll be no toys. And all the Who's down in Whoville will all cry boo-hoo. And that was a sound, said the Grinch, that I simply must hear. So the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started in low and then started to grow, but the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. How could it be so? But it was merry, very. And the Grinch looked down to Whoville, and the Grinch popped his eyes, for what he saw was a shocking surprise. All the Who's down in Whoville, the tall and the small, were singing without any presents at all. He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without presents or boxes or bags. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. And the Grinch finally thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened? In Whoville, they say that Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day, and as soon as his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whizzed with his load through the bright morning light. He brought back the presents. He brought back the feast. And he himself, the Grinch, carved the roast beast.